For a while here at Tech Yes City, you guys have been requesting that I trade my way up to a high-end gaming PC. And today marks the first episode of just that, where I'm going to be starting with a 100 Aussie dollar budget. That's right. If you guys are in the US, that's roughly 65 USD. And what I intend to do in this series is try and get the best deals possible and then flip whatever I come into and try eventually to have enough money from this endeavor to get a high-end gaming PC. Now this will take however long it takes, and I may fail during the way. And if I fail, then the series will come to an abrupt end. But if I do succeed and I do get that high-end gaming PC, then I'll be giving it away to one of you guys out there in the audience. So strap on in and put your used price performance capes on, because this is gonna get juicy. And who knows, by the time this series is finished, we could have an RTX 3080 inside this potential gaming PC.
So straight away, if we need to make this work, we need to make it work properly. So I have to give myself the best chance I have at turning this $100 into more money. So it's crucial for me to go with what I feel is a lot of gambles straight away, because the more chances we have, then the more chances we have of flipping up. And what I mean by this is I've got 5 PCs that I bargained for that were all untested. And so when they're untested, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to pull out components like power supplies, RAM, motherboards and CPUs, and then be able to use those individual components to trade my way up to more money. So ultimately the theory behind this is by getting a PC at 20 Aussie dollars a pop that's untested, yes, I could run into faulty parts, but I feel like statistics is going to average out in my favor, where overall I'm going to be getting a lot more than I bargained for. And also, if you guys remember Dadman, he wanted to come along for the ride.
And here we are now, back after picking up 5 PCs. Unfortunately, I don't have any drives with these systems, so what I'm gonna have to do is, if they work, I'm gonna have to advertise them as a PC, or maybe if I can get like 2 or 3 PCs together, I can advertise them as working with no drives. So I've really hit the limit here, and this is it. This is what I'm left with. This case, for example, right here, it's even got glass shattered inside it. Like, that's how sort of like untested some of this stuff is. The case is completely goners as well. I'm gonna have to remove all the stuff in here and hope that some of it works. But I did see that i7 logo on the front, so automatically I thought, yes, that's a no-brainer. I have to take that up for 20 bucks. This one here, I don't even know what's inside it. We'll pull it apart when we start testing it and find out what's inside. Though the rust on the back there doesn't look like it's a good indicator, but still, hopefully be able to pull out some parts. But what we got here is 3 systems. These are AMD systems, I believe, older AM3 motherboards. They got DDR3, which is good. Again, the RAM might not work, whatnot, but one thing I'll point out is these blue cables here. I've never seen this on a power supply before, and it's pretty cool, some of the stuff that came in all these older PCs. For instance, a little while back, I got this cooler on an X79 HP motherboard. It was like a water cooler, but it was a standalone unit. It didn't have any sort of extended external mounts you had to do. And I believe Cooler Master tried to bring this back with a water cooler of their own, but it's funny to see that this stuff was made years and years ago. And yeah, that was just another cool thing I came into. But these PCs here, let's start booting them up individually and going through piece by piece and seeing what we can out any better for us. We have a Phenom 2 X4945, so I believe that's a 4-core processor, 8 gigabytes of memory, even though it's missing 1 megabyte there. It's like 8192 versus 8191. That's pretty cool. And then we've got the blue cables and blue everything. So I'm thinking I'll just try and touch this up And that will be a sale in itself since it already has a graphics card too. So maybe we'll get away with like $100 on this PC alone for our flip and get back our investment. And we've got 4 more PCs to play with, since the good thing is the noise is really low, like at least on boot. So that's a good sign. There's nothing rattling. I don't have to replace anything. And we've even got a DVD drive. That's like, yeah, that's it. Done. And we've got 1 down, 4 to go. And I'm going to let Megatron tell you how easy this is.
This was almost too easy.
So we've taken the motherboard out, cleaned the thermal paste off, put some new thermal paste on, cleaned pretty much the cooler as well, which was extremely dirty, and we've got a signal. So that is some really good news considering we got an i7 2600 and a motherboard and a cooler for 20 Aussie dollars. Absolute bargain. And of course, the RAM is not included. That's just a test stick used to test out things and make sure it all boots. So now it's confirmed working, I can sell it and make a decent profit. Now, the case and even the power supply from this build, I'm not going to be touching that. The power supply, unfortunately, had glass in it as well. And it's really hard to get all that glass out. I'm going to have to pull that whole power supply apart. And even then, if there's just shattered glass inside still, it's just a risk that I don't want to place on someone else. Considering it's a mediocre and random power supply anyway, I'm just going to leave those 2 things aside because we pulled out the cream of this deal anyway, and that is now 2 for 2. We've got 3 more to go. Let's get this show on the road. Here is the mystery box now, and it is working absolutely fine. We've got a Core i5-2400 and 4 gigabytes of RAM. At least we've got a power supply, working motherboard, and cooler included. So I think we could kind of patch this up as a office PC, but we're gonna have to tell someone, look, you're gonna have to install your hard drive, and they should take it. I mean, maybe I'm thinking around $80. If we could get that for this PC, that would be pretty good, because then we're turning that 20 into 80. Not as good as the other 2 before it, but again, I'm still happy because it works. That is 3 for 3 now. I am on an absolute roll. We've got 2 more to go. I could not be happier with how this first part is turning out so far, because I mean, this is the hardest part, episode 1. If things go wrong, we could fail this whole experiment. But things are going really well. I'm getting more confident by the second. This is what you're going to be calling tech yes confidence. And here we are now at 4 for 4. This is an AMD Phenom X2 945 with 8 gigabytes of memory, and this time that extra 1 megabyte is showing up. The graphics card is I think it's a 5830, 1 gigabyte. And I had good memories in the past with the 5850. So it'd be interesting to see how well this would run Fortnite or something like that at 720p maybe. I got a feeling it could give out decent performance at that. So what I'm thinking with this one is like the other one, 100 Aussie dollars. It's quiet, everything's decent. The power supply is not like that bad. Should run this spec. But since it's getting a bit dark outside, I'm gonna photo this later because I wanna get this cleaned before it gets too dark and see if this works. And here we have the last PC, which is an FX 4100, and it's got 8 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. It's got a GTX 460 as well, and we did what we've never done really in the past, and that is just give it some Tech Yes loving light. And we're gonna trademark that now. It's just a little quick and easy. Some people prefer it quick and easy with their Tech Yes loving, so this one definitely was appreciative of a Tech Yes loving light. And I can't believe it. We got now, since we're in Australia, I mean, if we were in America, we might have to advertise this as a 2-core. But since we're in Australia, we can advertise this as a true quad-core FX 4100. And we're gonna try for, I'd say, we're gonna go for 100 Aussie with this too. I mean, the cases are pretty clean and there's no noise going on inside like the other 3 builds, which is a really good thing. This is literally the best case scenario I could have imagined. Well, actually not the best. I mean, if I had hard drives in it, that would be amazing too, but still, we just got 5 for 5 here in terms of hits, and this is going to be photo time. Then we're gonna sit down and talk about the plan going forward. And now we are at the conclusion of episode 1, where I honestly haven't been this excited in doing any kind of content here on the channel in a while. It's sort of like the main thing is just these mystery boxes where you don't know what's going to be inside, you don't know what's going to happen. There could be any amount of problems, but this is the thing. We came out of this with the best case scenario, which I guess is why I'm even more excited than I should be, because like all these 5 builds just were quick and easy to get results out of, and nothing went wrong in the process. So I'm absolutely loving what we've got here on the table. I'm hoping to turn this $100 into, I'd say, like, if all things go well in the sales, around about $500. So we could 5 times our money on this. And if we then get that amount of money, we'll then be able to juggle and have a lot more wiggle room to start leveling up and trading up to that high-end gaming PC. So this marks episode 1. The pilot episode. If you guys enjoyed this one, then be sure to hit that like button. But also, going into episode 2, we're gonna come back with what the results were in terms of flipping this stuff, and then we're gonna strategize for the next move that we're going to make. But another thing too is, starting off, we really don't have a lot of wiggle room, and going in with 5 untested PCs and coming out with these results there is that element of luck there, definitely. We got lucky, and that's a great thing, because at this low price point, starting out on that $100, we've really got to make the most of this going forward. I mean, if we come into problems, which I'm sure we will when we've got a bit more money in our pocket, then that's really not going to be as much as a problem as it could have been here in this first episode. So that is just, I don't know, the tech gods are looking down on me, and they're obviously loving the Tech Yes loving, but I guess they want you guys as well to be getting in with a chance when this high-end PC happens, because I'm pretty confident coming out of this now that this is going to happen and it's going to be really successful. I shouldn't get too far ahead of myself though, because we still have to sell this gear here, and it is a pretty tough market at the moment for selling PCs. It's a bit of a downturn, not just locally, but also globally. And with that aside, do let us know in the comments below, what was your favorite deal out of these 5 pickups today? I'm gonna say for me personally, looking at this, even though it's not the PC package and it probably doesn't look the best from the B-roll, I'm going with the i7-2600 motherboard and cooler. I think it'll sell like that as opposed to the other i5 box and the other 3 AMD boxes, which aren't as popular. I know a lot of people are really hungry for even a 2600 when it comes to even reflipping gaming PCs. So I'm hoping that some of the people that buy this will be reflipping it themselves. So I do see the demand for this stuff I got here today as having some much higher demand than the $20 that I paid for it. Though I look forward to reading your thoughts and opinions. And speaking of thoughts and opinions, we have the question of the day, which comes from Music Daily 123, and they ask, is it a good idea to get a Xeon E5 2689 plus Chinese motherboard plus RX 580? Will it run the latest games in VR like Half-Life Alyx and emulate Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I think, BOTW? I think it'll emulate Breath of the Wild. It's a pretty powerful CPU, but the VR thing, since you specifically mentioned that, you will want to go for 4th gen and higher. So even though the 2689 is more than capable, especially it's a great combo with a RX 580 if you want to play most modern titles in 2020, 1080p for example, the CPU itself for VR, I don't think 2nd gen officially supports VR. In that case, you need native USB 3 on board. So you want to get something like, if you're looking for a Xeon budget choice, you might want to take a look at the recent coverage I did on the V3 Haswells, which can be had with a cheap motherboard as well, and they can both be had on AliExpress, and then you can turbo unlock them and just get so much more performance out of those CPUs, especially for the dollar. But also on top of that, the boards have native USB 3 and they'll be VR ready. Hope that answers that question, and I'll catch you guys in another tech video very soon. And if you stayed this far and you're enjoying this new fresh content here at Tech Yes City, then you know what to do, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out for now. Bye.